For years, you've been hearing about conservatives railing on about liberal indoctrination, but you might not know that Mike Huckabee has a Christian nationalist homeschooling program, and I signed up for it. Now, Mike Huckabee sells a lot of things on Fox News.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas.
Hi, I'm Mike Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee says you need it for 2020.
But there's a specific ad that has haunted me for years.
Hi, I'm Mike Huckabee. Did you know that public schools don't allow any mention of God in the classroom? This is Mike Huckabee. Isn't it amazing how so much that President Trump said still rings true? I'm Mike Huckabee, and I want to tell you about my Christmas gift to the kids in your family.
Yep. Mike Huckabee has a patriotic children's magazine. We got everything from The Kid's Guide to President Trump, The Kid's Guide to Christmas in America, The Kid's Guide to Easter in America, but my favorite one has to be from this commercial.
With Biden's forgiveness of hundreds of billions of dollars in student loan debt, America's march towards socialism is nearly complete.
That's why your kids need my Kid's Guide to Fighting Socialism. It'll help them learn the dangers of socialism and how to fight back. And I want you to have it for free as part of this free gift bundle.
I needed that guide. I needed it really, really bad. Now, this isn't the first time I've tried to get a kid's guide. I tried last December for the Kid's Guide to Christmas in America, but it never came. So last week, I tried again. And now I get to show you the glory that is Mike Huckabee's Christo-fascist indoctrination program for kids. There are two things you need to know if you want to get a kid's guide. Number one, it's free. Number two, it's a conservative grift, so actually it's not free. You have to pay for shipping and handling, which is, to be fair, only $1. But it's not actually $1 because you also have to pay for a separate patriotic children's magazine, which is also $1. So your free kids guide is now $2. They'll also ask if you want another one, which you might logically assume is also free. It's not. But if you add this separate guide to your cart, you automatically process the payment. So in trying to get your free kids guide, you actually give Mike Huckabee $12. Additionally, if you don't read the fine print, you could end up giving Mike Huckabee $20 a month. Because by getting your free kids guide, you are actually signing up for a subscription service. And if you want to cancel that subscription service, you have to create a separate account on the world's jankiest homeschooling site. Not only that, but if you get multiple guides, that is buying multiple subscriptions, each of which you have to cancel. So if you decide your kid isn't patriotic enough and you get 5 of these BS subscriptions, you could end up giving Mike Huckabee $100 in a single month and not even know it. Now, I didn't really want to give Mike Huckabee my money, but after all these years, I really needed to know what the kids' guides were like. This has haunted me. All in all, for this video, I paid like $12, which is still way too much, but what I found was honestly worth it because the kids' guides are bananas. I decided to start with the Kid's Guide to Fighting Socialism. That seemed the most urgent. We are sending children into a fight. So I went to kidsstopsocialism.com and was immediately greeted by Mike Huckabee's face. Everything is Mike Huckabee and there is no escape. So I click, yes, please send my children this free kids guide. Just pay $1, which is actually $2, or maybe $12, or maybe $20. And I put in my name, address, email, credit card number, phone number, because I'm not smart. But luckily, neither is Mike Huckabee, because my order told me I had bought a magazine. Now the site tells you get a digital copy of the kids' guides and free workbooks and a bunch of educational videos. But first you have to sign up for a parent account on Espired, which as far as I can tell is basically a Christian nationalist homeschooling service. Because in addition to our patriotic kids' guides, we also have family Bible films, Kids Guide to the Bible, and the American Heritage series, which is apparently an in-depth review of our nation's godly history where your child can learn how Judeo-Christian values have shaped America. Great. Now this video is about Mike Huckabee's kids guides and not Espired, but I gotta nitpick a little because this site sucks so hard. Nothing makes sense. It is all a scam. I thought the kids guides were in the library because that made sense to me because there's something you read. But Espired made me pay another $1 to access the library. I'm sure you've guessed at this point, but that's not where the kids' guides are. I was a little jumpy because I never received my kids' guide in December. And at this point, I was wondering if they even existed. Like, was this something Mike Huckabee shills on Fox News and then just hopes no one ever follows up? But I did find a phone number I could call. It turned out the kids' guides aren't under library like I thought, they are under learning quests. This was confusing to me because when I clicked learning quests, I had 2 options, none of which were to access my kids' guide. There was the Kids Guide Digital All Access Pass, which was a bunch of poorly animated videos. And then there was the Kids Guide, no parentheses, which was locked, but I could buy access to. Are you seeing a theme here? Donna clarified that it could be 2 or 3 days until the actual kids guide would be online, at which point the learning quest would be unlocked. I just had to be patient. So in the meantime, I decided to explore my kids guide digital all access pass. This entire section is exclusively videos of the worst animation, both 2 and 3D, I've ever seen in my goddamn life. One of the 2 series is called Money Right Kids, which talks about financial stuff. All of these children look unbelievably cursed. Like, look at this blonde kid and tell me he's not gonna grow up and own a Blue Lives Matter flag. And then you got this girl who I guess is a child but looks like a 30-year-old real estate agent. There's one thumbnail I really love called Identity Crisis. Look at the faces of these children. What are they looking at? Who is having the identity crisis? Is she okay? I didn't watch the Money Bright ones partly because these children look like sleep paralysis demons, but also these animated nightmares have got nothing on the other series. It's called Learn Our History, Take Pride in America's Past, and it seems to match up with kids' guides. This is the first one you see. The title is Great Again, Restoring Faith in America. And the cover is just as cursed as the Money Bright Kids in a different way. We've got like off-brand Abraham Lincoln, like Abram Lincoln and George Washoe helping swear in Donald Trump, whose image is much more flattering comparatively. I watched this one and it gets weird. So it starts with a pretty serious piracy warning telling me I could go to jail for like 5 years if I share Mike Huckabee's garbage kid series. I really hope the FBI has better things to do, but just in case, I'm only sharing screenshots. I'm not a lawyer, but if any of you are lawyers and can tell me whether I can share actual video from this, please let me know. I would love to do an entire video talking about these. You can't capture the nightmare essence of this in a single screenshot. This specific episode begins in a classroom with what I guess are recurring characters in what I suppose is a middle school. Despite the, republicanism of it all, this is a pretty diverse group. We got the nerd, the blonde, this kid who I think is just Huckleberry Finn. He speaks with a very strong Southern accent. This child who talks inexplicably like a Valley Girl in a 2000s Rob Schneider comedy. This one's just like a guy. I really respect, though, that they wanted to cover all their bases. That's the 5 archetypes right there. Can't believe Mike Huckabee caved to woke culture. We won. So the teacher tells the kids that a college professor will be a guest lecturer for their middle school class for the week. He's the spitting image of a professor. He's got the goatee, he's got the jacket, his college is called State University, his name is Carl. He asks the kids, what founded America? What is America built on? And the kids, like any child would, say religion. Carl is not happy. He's an educated professor, so of course he's not down with that. He essentially just acts like a huge dick towards these children. And then he stalks them outside of school hours. It turns out the kids have a time machine. It's called the Little Wizard. I think the nerd built it. The kids decide that they're gonna use it to go back in time and prove how important religion is to America. And that's all the professor needs to steal the time machine. Right before he goes back in time, he literally says this is his opportunity to, quote, take the importance of God out of American history and stop Donald Trump from becoming president. Because if there's any president who's known the importance of God, it's Donald Trump. This time machine, I'm sure you could guess, is never explained. At least as far as I can tell. I haven't watched all of these. I might go insane. So the kids and the professor go on all sorts of crazy capers. The children learn that separation of church and state is bad, and that Joseph Stalin single-handedly started the nuclear arms race. Japan is never mentioned. All throughout, these kids have to stop this grown man from stealing religious documents like the Hamburglar. At one point, he literally tries to steal the Declaration of Independence, but it turns out it was just Thomas Jefferson's shopping list. So we finally get to Washington, D.C., 1865, and the kids find the professor talking to Abraham Lincoln. We never really see any sort of resolution. The professor just apologizes for stealing the time machine, tells the kids they're right, and they go back home. Once again, if someone's a lawyer, please tell me how much of these videos I can play, because there are some great ones I am dying to show you. Like the Reagan Revolution, a history of American capitalism. There's one where the kids go to Afghanistan, and that one seems pretty tight. By the end of that video and my half-hour call with customer service, my kids' guides were finally processed. At the start, I only wanted to do the Kids' Guide to Fighting Socialism, but I ended up with 2 others. One Nation Under God and the Kids' Guide to President Trump. I tried to get the guide to Biden, but it still hasn't shown up, so we're just gonna have to imagine it in the meantime. Definitely let me know your thoughts on what's in the Kids' Guide to Biden in the comments. I'm sure at this point you are desperate to know, Kat, how do I get my child to fight in the war on socialism? Well, boy, do I have the guide for you. Here's the cover. We got a bald eagle in front of an American flag. He's holding a banner in his talons that says socialism, but it's X'd out. Think God. Now, before I get into the actual content, I would like to remind people what conservatives categorize as indoctrination. Telling your kid it's okay to be gay. Telling your kid systemic racism exists. Allowing your child to wear a dress. Now let's look at the first page. All right, so how economies work. Now this 2-page spread is split into a top half and a bottom half. There's capitalism at the top, which is green because money, and socialism at the bottom, which is yellow because no money. An economy is a system for making and using money. There are different kinds of economies. Good start. No complaints here. Seems like a solid definition of an economy for children. America's economy is a free market capitalist economy where people pay money in exchange for goods and can make money by working or by starting businesses. Simplistic, but I get what it's saying. This is a children's magazine. Because everything in a free market economy is connected, one person's success will benefit everyone. So that's how they explain capitalism. Let's see what it says about socialism. Socialism is another kind of economy. Under socialism, the government controls businesses and the entire economy. Everyone is supposed to be equal, and no one gets rewarded for working harder than everyone else. Under socialism, successful people are actually punished, since they have to give whatever they earn to other people. Now, I know it doesn't seem like the most Christian thing to say, which, after all, is the basis for this country, apparently. And I know the framing doesn't seem great if you keep talking about giving kids an unbiased education. But at least it doesn't say capitalism good, socialism bad. I'm totally kidding, that's exactly what it says. Come on guys, at least be more subtle with the propaganda, just a little bit. Also, I feel so bad for these poor stock photo kids. There's another page with a report card on capitalism, socialism, and communism. And like, whatever you might think about these systems, you have to admit, this is like actual indoctrination. Once again, this poor stock photo kid. I also love this quote. Socialists believe in collectivism. This is why socialists think it's okay to take something that one person has made and give it to other people. They feel that the happiness and freedom of one person isn't very important. Like Jesus always said, fuck the poor. There's a lot of great stuff in here, like how we wouldn't have our amazing American healthcare today without the free market, or how you can't live a full and prosperous life without the threat of homelessness and starvation. Why didn't I think of that? But finally, we're at the call to action with explicit instructions on how your child can fight socialism. The main advice, think for yourself. And then immediately underneath that is a list of capitalist talking points. Irony is dead. Mike Huckabee killed it. Isn't socialism better than capitalism since it makes people work together and share everything? It sounds like a great idea for everyone to work together and share, but the truth is that it just doesn't work. Okay, so Mike Huckabee literally just told your child that sharing is bad, and liberals are the ones indoctrinating your kids. Rich people should pay higher taxes and share their wealth. Not a question, but okay. Higher taxes are actually bad for everyone since they leave people with less money to spend and invest. In the free market, rich people already share their wealth by spending their money to buy goods and services. I hate Mike Huckabee so much. Don't socialists care about poor people more than capitalists? Socialism claims to end poverty by taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but it doesn't actually work. Capitalism values each person equally because it gives everyone equal freedom and opportunity to succeed. That didn't answer the question. That didn't answer the question at all. This was just 20 pages of propaganda. There was literally no opposing viewpoint, not even like a clear definition. Mike Huckabee just told your kid not to share. And that's just one of 3 kids' guides I'm talking about. Let's get into the next one. The Kid's Guide to One Nation Under God. This one's got a nice mix of Christo-fascism and 2023 Manifest Destiny. I really like this cover because there is a corresponding thumbnail on one of the videos. So in the original video, you got a bunch of dudes praying in pews. George Washington, MLK, Ronald Reagan, Patton and JFK maybe? I really don't know. The glass in the back has the American flag, and then we also have a cross and the Star of David, because Christianity and Judaism are the only 2 religions. I'm pretty sure there are no Jewish people in this picture. It's probably less offensive that way, still. Now the actual Kids Guide cover, not the video, is similar, but also different. You still got the Founding Fathers praying in pews. You still got the American flag, but there are no religious symbols, and they took out the only black guy. So you open the guide up and are immediately greeted by this very aggressive headline. America's foundation is based on God. This intro points out that the Constitution allows Americans to worship how they want. And then the only other evidence is that in the 50s, we put "In God We Trust" on our money and added "Under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's where I want to start, because they make a big deal about the Pledge of Allegiance. There's an entire 2-page spread about it. Once again, I mourn for these stock photo kids. Now, you might have known that the pledge didn't originally have the words "under God" in it. That was added in 1953. But that's not even the whole story. The Pledge of Allegiance was created as a PR gimmick to sell American flags by a magazine to schools. This stunt was wildly successful, selling over 25,000 flags in the first year of 1892. And then came the World Wars, and somehow America's patriotism increased, and it just kind of stuck. And as of today, 46 of 50 states require schools to have time to recite the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning. But the pledge itself is pointless. The only American thing about our Pledge of Allegiance is that it was a grift to sell things to children, which means it is everything to Christian nationalists. It's like how at one point there's this blurb that mentions the founding fathers saw the Bible as a practical guide. I'm 99% sure that's talking about the Jefferson Bible, which, if you don't know, was a copy of the New Testament rewritten by Thomas Jefferson to exclude all of the supernatural stuff, like the resurrection. There is one section in here about Jewish people in Rhode Island. It also conveniently leaves out a lot about Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island. He was a strong proponent of separation between church and state, and befriended and respected the local indigenous populations because he believed faith in the practice of it was an individual matter. Finally, there's this section on American exceptionalism, which I'd like to note is significantly longer than the part about Judaism. This entire section is honestly so disgusting. This video took a lot of work. I spent a lot of time dissecting these stupid kids' guides, and every single time I came back, I was more grossed out than I was before. Look at these kids praying under the words American exceptionalism. They're not even being subtle about tying Christianity and America. It's Christian nationalism, plain and simple. Nobody should teach their child that God made them better than other people or countries or cultures. It's disgusting. It's nauseating, frankly. And we've still got one more to go. Finally, we've arrived at the Kid's Guide to President Trump. This one doesn't even wait to play the American exceptionalism card. It immediately says that Donald Trump ran because he wanted people to be proud of themselves and proud of America again, because America is special and unique. How are these the same people that rant about participation trophies? So we start with some of the campaign promises that Trump made, and it's all stuff that matters to kids. Illegal immigration, radical Islamic terror, political correctness. There's that trademark Christian empathy. This little light bulb in the corner is honestly one of the most concerning parts to me, because the government cared more about small groups of people in the rest of the world than about the majority of Americans. It's just saying the quiet part out loud. It's fine to leave marginalized people in the dust so long as you get your way. And it's funny how they say the majority, because it's always the American majority until it comes to the Electoral College, or people living paycheck to paycheck, or legalizing marijuana. They don't mean the majority of Americans. They mean the majority of white Christian nationalists. This page is just like such a mess. We get another rant about political correctness. Trump speaks his mind bluntly, and some people don't like to hear it. He was more aggressive about this because he believed many TV reporters wouldn't report his ideas accurately. As a result, he sometimes criticized those people, and they didn't like to hear it. I think there's a difference between criticism and calling the press the enemy of the people. But the rest of this stuff is just about illegal immigration and coastal elites and draining the swamp. This has to do measurable damage to kids' brains, right? Oh shit, I forgot this part was in here. What are taxes, and why is it better when they're low? Taxes are money that the government collects to pay for things like the armed forces. Kinda telling that was the first thing to come to your mind. Police, definitely telling that was the second thing to come to your mind. And schools. Schools are the third priority in a magazine for children. There's one page about the 2016 primaries, and there's like this big picture of Pence, but they only mention Pence's name once. He selected Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his vice presidential running mate. Was it worth it, Mike? Did you know that Donald Trump stopped illegal immigration just by beginning the border wall? He fought back against the terrorist nation of Iran and all of its people that are definitely terrorists. Oh, there's peace in the Middle East now. I don't know if you knew that, but it's there. He got a lot done, apparently. President Trump had a very eventful presidency, and many of his policies were successful despite a number of great challenges. Even though he isn't president anymore, President Trump has said that he has big plans for the future, and his supporters are very excited to find out what those are. So yeah, that's the Kid's Guide to Trump. It's honestly unbelievable how Mike Huckabee and Fox News and so many other conservative grifters get away with stuff like this. And yes, I know, Republicans don't care about hypocrisy. I know they don't care about consistency. I know that. But every once in a while, I run into something like this and I can't help but be shocked. Shocked at the audacity, at the lack of shame that these people seem to have. Sometimes these Kids Guide ads will air immediately after Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham or Jesse Waters or Sean Hannity spends 20 minutes ranting about critical race theory and trans people and liberal indoctrination. This is the group that wants to label parents as child abusers if they allow their kid to use different pronouns. This is the group that encourages people to storm drag queen story hours and school board meetings. This is the group that won't shut up about liberal indoctrination because they're hoping you won't notice that they want to pump your kid full of Christian nationalist BS. They don't care about facts and history. None of this is sincere. They just want to maintain a power structure where they are on top and all of those other people are at the bottom. Mike Huckabee and Fox News are literally telling your child not to share, that they are superior to others, and that Donald Trump is the greatest man who has ever lived. Meanwhile, telling a kid they can be whoever they want, that's indoctrination. Like they say, you start with the kids. Now, if you like this video and found it interesting or want more Kids Guide material, let me know because I might do another one. My current top choices would be the Kids Guide to Cancel Culture, the Kids Guide to Race in America, the Civil War and the 9/11 ones look great. The possibilities are endless and endlessly grim. I monitor conservatives for work, but I make fun of them for pleasure. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.